before I start today's cooking demonstration, I just want to say thank you to those who took the time to watch my first demonstration, my first video. I was completely overwhelmed by your response and your comments, all the positive feedback and encouragement that you gave me. It has led me to do a second one, so here I am again. And I really appreciate it. And for those of you who took the time to share out that video, that was really thoughtful, and I appreciate it so much. So today I'm going to do another salad for you. All of this month in January in cooking school, we have been doing salads, and we've been talking about winter salads particularly. I like to use foods that are in season, and in the winter season there's not a lot that's growing in the garden, but there are foods that grew late in the fall that have been stored through the winter, and those are the foods that we like to eat in the winter season. So those would be things like broccoli and cauliflower, sweet potatoes, winter squashes, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, kales, leafy greens, those kinds of really dark, rich foods that are so good for us. And so this salad that we're going to make today uses not cauliflower, but broccoli. Sometimes I do put cauliflower in it, but today I'm just going to make it with broccoli, and it's a broccoli pasta salad. It's a really popular salad, a crowd pleaser. Most people like this. It makes a huge bowl. You'll see when I get finished, there's a big bowl of it, and so it's good to take to a potluck, or if you have a large family, it will feed your family. It makes a lot of salad. So the first thing we're going to do with this salad is I already cooked and rinsed off some bow tie pasta, and I'm going to put this in the bowl first. You could use other kinds of pasta too. I like bow tie because I think it's pretty, and I think the size of the pasta is just about right proportion wise to the other ingredients that are going in it. But you could use a penne, you could use a small elbow. You just don't want to use anything that has got a really big bite to it. You don't want anything that's too big. So I'm going to use the bow tie, and I'm going to put in the broccoli next. I wanted to show you, I've already cut up most of the broccoli. I'll go ahead and put that in, but I wanted to show you when you're cutting off your broccoli and you have all these little pieces here at the end that you don't necessarily want to put into your salad. I don't usually throw those away. I like to just put them in a bag and keep them and put them away, and I'll use this later to make a soup with, probably a broccoli and cheddar soup that I like to make, and I will just steam those up when I'm making that soup, and that way I don't end up wasting much of the broccoli. I get to use all of it, and to not waste food if I can help it. So I've got all of that. I think that's enough broccoli. Sometimes when I make this, I also will use cauliflower with it. It's nice to have a combination of both broccoli and cauliflower if you have it, but if you only are going to use one, I would say go with the broccoli because the color looks nice with the pasta, whereas if you use just cauliflower, it's going to be a white salad. So this makes it look a little prettier. Okay, so we're going to put, next, after the broccoli I put in there, I'm going to cut up a little bit of this shallot. The recipe calls for a red onion, so you could use red onion or shallot. I like shallot because it's milder than a red onion, and you don't want anything that's going to be too overpowering flavor-wise in the salad. So I like to use, I'll probably only use about half of this. And I like to cut it in pretty small pieces so that you don't bite into a really big piece. So I'm going to use this. And then I'm also going to put in some red grapes. You could use any kind of fruit. I've already cut these grapes in half, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in. But you could use white grapes if you wanted to. I like to go with the red ones because they're pretty. They really look pretty in the salad. And I just am cutting them in half here. Now, this salad is also really good with apples. It's good with pears. If you don't have fresh fruit, you could use raisins or dried cranberries, but you need some kind of fruit in it because the little bite of fruit along with the saltiness that the bacon's going to bring to it, it's really good in the salad. So you want some kind of fruit. So this one, I'm putting the red grapes in. Next, I'm going to put in the bacon. I've already cooked the bacon. I did this in the oven. I've already kind of crumbled that up. Cooking your bacon in the oven is a good way to do it if you're going to be cooking a lot of bacon at one time, and I cooked 8 slices of this. So it's it's a really easy way. You just put it on a sheet pan and line it with tin foil and put it. I baked this at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. Halfway through, I moved the bacon around in different places because the bacon on the outside of the pan cooks quicker than the bacon on the inside of the pan. So I just moved it around. The recipe calls for 8 slices. I like to use 8 slices because the bacon is really good at this. And this is a thick sliced bacon. It's maple and brown sugar. Because of the high content of sugar in this bacon, it browned a little more than maybe I would have liked to, but it still tastes really good. So, okay, so we've got plenty of bacon in there. Get this out of the way. Okay, so I've got the pasta, the bacon, the broccoli, and the grapes. Now I'm going to add some sunflower seeds. Just going to put some of these in, eyeball it. I think the recipe calls for like 1/3 cup. I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. And then I'm going to chop up some pecans. Now I toasted these pecans earlier, and all I did was just put raw pecans in this skillet on the stove on a really low temperature and just move them around every so often. You keep an eye on them so that you don't burn them, because toasting nuts, you can burn them really quickly. But I just put, and you don't want them to necessarily brown. You will know when they're ready. You'll smell the flavor of the nuts. And so I'm going to just kind of rough chop these and put these right in on top of all the other ingredients in there. Calls for about 1 cup. One thing about this salad is that once you've made it a couple times, you won't measure anything. You'll know just by looking at it how much you want to put in there. I think I want to put a little bit more nuts in there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to put in there is some cheese. This is kind of optional. Sometimes I don't put cheese in this, but I like it. If I have the cheese in the fridge and I want to use it, I like it with cheese in it. So I've already cut in some little cubes. This is just a white cheddar, but I didn't have very much of that, so I'm going to finish it off with this little bit of Havarti that I have. Bring this over. And I'm just cutting it into cubes. That's all. Havarti is really mild. It'll just taste really good with the other flavors of the salad. Okay, so that's everything that's going to go in here. You can see this is a huge bowl already. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix up a really quick and simple dressing to just put right over the top of this. So let me move that over here. Clean up a little bit. Okay, so this is a mayonnaise-based dressing, and I'm going to cut it half and half. I'm going to use half mayonnaise and half plain yogurt. I wouldn't use Greek yogurt. It's a little too thick. But the plain yogurt works well if you're wanting to cut the mayonnaise content in a recipe. It makes it a little healthier, and I don't think it really affects the flavor of the dressing to do half yogurt, half mayonnaise. So what you just want to end up with a really nice creamy dressing. So I'm putting half and half. Okay, then we're going to add a little bit of vinegar. Calls for 1/3 cup of vinegar. I am measuring things a little bit better for the dressing than I did for the salad. You want the flavors to come out and be what you're looking for. So there's 1/3 cup of vinegar there. And then I'm going to add sugar. It calls for 1/3 cup of sugar. I probably won't use all of this. I start out with maybe a little over half of it. I find that sometimes this salad dressing can just be a little bit too sweet. So it's better to start out on the light side, and then I will taste it and add a little bit more to it if I need to. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. So stir it up. You could also use honey if you wanted to, or agave as a sweetener. or maybe even an artificial sweetener, but I've never done it that way. I'm not going to use it all to start with, because I may not need it. This is a big bowl of salad. This, you can make this ahead of time and leave it in the refrigerator. That's what I usually do. It would be great to mix up in the evening, and then you could have it for lunches the next day. Maybe if you want to do it on a Saturday evening, it would be good to have for a Sunday meal where you can just come home from church and not have to cook anything. Just pull this out of the refrigerator and you're ready to go. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know that it really needs a lot more dressing right now. Now, I will keep the rest of this dressing though, because what happens sometimes when you put it in the refrigerator is that the pasta will soak up some of that dressing, and then when you get ready to eat it, it will taste dry. So what we'll do is I will keep this as is, and I'll just put this in the refrigerator, and tomorrow when I take it out, or tonight if we have this for dinner and it seems dry, then I will have this extra dressing to put on there. So I'm going to just scoop up some of this so you can see how pretty it looks on the plate. So that's how the salad looks when you get finished with it. I think it's beautiful. It tastes really delicious. I will put the recipe for this. I'll post it underneath this video so that you'll have the ingredient list and you'll be able to know the amount of ingredients that you need to put in it. But like I said, once you make it a couple times, you will probably just start throwing things in and making it the way that you like it. If you enjoyed this recipe, I have 3 other recipes on the blog, on the website, Welcome Home Cooking School website, the blog. I've done 3 recipes this month that are salads. I'll be adding 1 more to end out this month. And then next month we'll be moving on to something else, maybe something chocolate for February. So thanks so much for joining me. See you next time.